Listen, Chidinma or Adeshina is not the reason why you're unemployed.
The fact that her name is Chidinma Vanessa Adeshina is what has sparked the attention.
More than anything, it's just an anti-black and xenophobic sentiment.
Right, concerning the video of Chidinma Vanessa Adeshina that has been making rounds on the internet space recently. Chidinma Vanessa Adeshina is a Nigerian, South African and Mozambican. This is to clarify those who are using high sense of xenophobic rhetoric to amplify hate against those they choose to regard to as foreign nationals.
Vanessa was born to a South African mother and a Nigerian father in South Africa's Johannesburg city. The model's mother also has Mozambican roots.
Let us listen to Queen as she clarifies her nationality in accordance with the South African Citizenship Act.
Listen, Chidinma or Adeshina is not the reason why you're unemployed. She's not the reason why our government gives us 315 grand. And that's the problem with South Africa. We tend to direct our anger to the wrong people instead of our government. So if they don't provide textbooks, we burn down the school. If they don't provide employment, then we attack the guy who opened a tuck shop around the corner. Logically doesn't make sense. This Afrophobic, xenophobic rhetoric is starting to stick on South Africa, and it's not a cute look. Chidinma, there are 3 ways in South Africa that a person could be a citizen. Go look it up. Go look at the Citizen Act. Through birth, through descent, through naturalization. Through birth, she's South African. Descent, who? Her mom. A close family friend has confirmed that her grandmother is a Zulu woman who had a child with a Mozambican man. And then they had Chidinma's mom. And Chidinma's mom now marries a Nigerian man, and they have Chidinma. So she is South African. It's not her problem that her father stayed around long enough to actually give her beautiful names. You are directing your anger to the wrong people. Look up Vanessa Carrera, who was Portuguese Angolan. She won. She went to represent South Africa in Miss Universe and she came out second. There are Asians on the panel. Is the problem that she's Nigerian or the problem that you don't believe she's South African? Like, I'm really trying to figure it out, because this amount of hate to this child should never ever be justified.
Going further with analysis of Newsroom Africa, what are the requirements for becoming Miss South Africa, and what does it mean to be a South African? The analysis of Newsroom Africa regards social media questions as xenophobic.
This young woman, Chidinma Vanessa Adeshina, a contestant in this year's Miss South Africa pageant. Your first thoughts?
Look, I think the rhetoric around her citizenship status, I think more than anything, it's just an anti-black and xenophobic sentiment. If you look at the arguments that have been made, people are arguing on behalf of the fact that one of her parents or both of them are not South African or don't have South African origin. But if you look at the requirements to enter Miss SA, you have to be a citizen with an SA ID book. And the fact that she's made it this far actually proves that she's, in fact, got the minimum criteria. So the argument should have been a non-starter to begin with.
Yeah, one of the discussions that... one of the points that had been made is many South Africans that perhaps are first or second or even third generation from another country but are citizens of South Africa do live in this country. And there's the argument that had her name, for instance, been, Michelle Adeshina, that it would have been different. The fact that her name is Chidinma Vanessa Adeshina is what has sparked the attention. What do you say to that? Is that a surface level discussion?
Look, if we take the discussion at face value, then it might seem that that's the only issue that's at play. But if we are going to take the matter for what people are purporting it to be, then how far along down the line of someone's lineage do we have to look for them to be considered South African? Do they have to have South African parents? Does it have to go further to their grandparents, great-grandparents? Or does the discussion then become only indigenous inhabitants of South Africa, where it becomes a matter where those who are declared First Nation status by the UN, will they be the only ones who are declared South African enough to compete on a stage like this? And I mean, that's something that everyone can admit would become ridiculous. And I don't just say that based on what's happening now, but I say that in my capacity as a chief of an indigenous tribe myself. This isn't something where we can define South African as just by your parents or your grandparents. Being South African has a lot more to do with various other factors. Like our constitution also points out, the country is it belongs to everyone who inhabits it. So the discussion, I think people need to have an honest reflection in terms of where our society is right now and where our tolerance for the rest of our continent lies, because South Africa is not an island. We are still part of Africa. And outside of that, she is a South African herself. So she shouldn't be facing the backlash that she's currently facing.